Hello everybody, welcome to Know Your Money. I'm Bronwyn Wayner.
And I'm Craig Finch, and we are from Growth Financial Planning. We hope you enjoy our podcast.
Hello everybody. Today we wanted to talk about a concept called 37C, which is a part of legislation that is attached to pension and provident funds as well as retirement annuities. Craig, do you want to take us away with what the legislation says and then explaining it?
Yeah, I'll just read a little short snap here so I get it right. Section 37C of the Pension Funds Act governs the distribution of death benefits from pension funds, ensuring that benefits are allocated fairly to dependents and nominees of the deceased member.
So what that basically means...
What does that mean in normal people speak?
Yes. In normal speaking terms, what that means is, let's say, for example, Joe goes to the gym and he meets some lady, but he has a wife and children at home, and he decides that I'm going to nominate this girlfriend that I've just met to get my retirement annuity. So he puts her down as a beneficiary. That 37C legislation is there to protect Joe's family so that Joe's wife and children don't get shimmied out of their inheritance because of some...
rash decision that he made.
Yes.
So what happens is you nominate your beneficiary on your retirement annuity or your company pension fund or provident fund or even your preservation fund. And then you say, like that Joe decided to make his new lady at the gym the beneficiary. The trustees will make a call. So there's a board of trustees at all these companies. They sit and they apply proper legal due diligence to how that money should be distributed so that the family always get a benefit, the actual dependents of Joe, instead of somebody who at a whim gets nominated.
And also another scenario which we've come across quite often, Craig, maybe you want to explain, is like a person's married and they have children. He then gets divorced and marries someone new and wants to change that, all of his policies to that someone new. Maybe go into that.
Yeah, well, I had this case a number of years ago on a pension fund. The husband and wife were married for over 15 years. They had a family home. They shared expenses. They shared their life together. They didn't have children. She had children from a previous marriage that were grown up. And then he didn't have children. So she had children previous marriage. She remarried him, married 15 years in a family home. He meets the new secretary at work, runs away with her, and decides to change the beneficiary on his pension fund to the new secretary. And then sadly, I'm sure that got on top of him as well. He committed suicide, which was very sad. And he had changed the beneficiary on his pension fund, which was in the end his only asset that he had outside the house. He changed the beneficiary to the new secretary. The trustees had to sit and apply due diligence on that. So he thought that the new secretary was going to get all his pension money. What in fact happened was the current wife, who shared the matrimonial home, got 80%, and the grown-up children in their late 20s who were not dependent on him anyway, they got 10% each. And the new secretary, nominated secretary, got nothing. And that was even though in his mind, I'm sure if he was around the table, would have felt that was unfair, but it was fair for how they apply the law to 37C.
That's an interesting thing because it kind of takes away, albeit a bad decision, your free will, doesn't it? If you decide that I want to give some of it to the secretary, it does seems a bit...
In a way, the secretary should have gotten just something, but not all of it.
Well, he could have... You can do that as well, but you can do it through a life policy. So your life assurance policy
that
cannot
doesn't get
be
questioned.
That goes straight to whoever you nominated.
Oh, okay. So it was the mechanism by which he did it was the problem.
Yes, correct.
So
back
did
to
on his retirement money.
And the retirement wrappers and that. So,
right, okay.
So this legislation came in a number of years ago. So almost before the marriage, the accrual system, when you got married under the accrual. So then in those days, maybe the breadwinner was the male. I'm sorry to say that, but in the 60s and 70s, that's how the world was. And then he was working at a big company. He bought the house. Everything was in his name. And then somewhere along the line, he had an affair, and he's got a child, and he's got this child and this lady in a house in a separate environment.
So now the affair, there's a child there that needs caring.
Yeah, and then he dies. To save face with everybody, he nominates his wife on the pension fund as his sole beneficiary, and she would have got all the money. Then that other lady comes forward with the new child of 2 years old or whatever. So what about us? And, well, sorry, you're not nominated, you get nothing. And that's where it started, saying,
Right.
That's unfair. Yes, you're taking away your ability to free will, but your free will actually isn't wise.
But that
You're
makes
not
sense
thinking-
because there's a responsibility of a new child. That makes sense.
Yeah, correct. On dependence,
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
And what I've also found is younger people starting in working, they don't have a girlfriend, they don't have children, they nominate their parents as the beneficiary on all of those things. But then they go and have a child, and now the parent's supposed to get all of that money, but he doesn't actually need it. That person's child needs to have all of that money. Yeah, and I mean, we had in our family that happened, and the dad got everything because she didn't know that she can go and have a voice and question, no, can't I take some of this money because he has a child? So it's just something for both sides to know.
Yeah.
When did this law come? When was it passed?
It's a while now. It's, I don't know, 15, I don't know, 20, I'm not sure, but it's quite a while now. Yeah, decades ago. Yeah.
okay.
Also, it might delay the payment of proceeds of a retirement annuity because the trustees have to do their due diligence, and they go right back because there might be some disabled dependent brother in a home somewhere that's been
Forgotten about.
almost forgotten about, but the policy owner has been paying his little disabled brother for many, many years, and that brother's dependent on that money. Obviously, the home is. They got to make sure that there's no other people that are dependent. So it could take a while to wind up distribution of that retirement annuity, but it is the fairest way of doing it. So obviously, it's part of your planning, but if you want to make sure that your life proceeds go to a specific person, then that's done through a life insurance policy.
Interesting. You were saying it's up to the trustees?
Trust.
And when we've done previous episodes, I'm probably wrong here, but you can appoint 2 of them.
So this is a different trustee. It's trustees on the fund. It's not your trustee in your will.
Oh, okay. So who would the trustees on the fund be?
So
Are they all independent?
Yes, independent
Right.
trustees. So, for example, the Liberty Retirement Annuity is one policy.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands of people are in that retirement annuity. There's a board of independent trustees that'll act for everybody. Alan Gray have got the same.
Okay.
And then what happens?
Pension administrators the same.
Right.
I remember we had a case, this client, she was my client, and then she got remarried and she had a daughter. Her daughter was much older, like in her 30s, and the daughter had 2 children. On the life policy, the new husband was nominated, and on the retirement annuity. So the daughter wanted to see if she could get some of the retirement money.
Yeah.
And she had to fill out a whole application. But because she wasn't dependent on her mom, they still decided to give it all to the current husband. But in her mind, she was sort of dependent because the mom used to cover some of the grandchildren's things. But she wasn't physically dependent on her, like if you look at the papers. So it can be quite complicated.
Very.
And how it lands.
Yeah.
And that's where what Craig's saying is there's different things. So on your life policy, just make sure, is it all supposed to go to that person? Because that one, there's no question of how that's divided.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this only pertains to retirement annuities and
Pension funds.
pension funds.
Pension funds, which is your retirement annuity through your employer.
Right.
Yeah. And preservation funds, if you've left an employer and you preserve that money.
Yeah.
Same scenario.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good concepts. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed this podcast and would like to subscribe, please visit our website www.growthfp.co.za. The information we have provided in this podcast is our personal opinion. For more detailed information, please discuss your financial situation with a financial planner.